What's up, guys? Raziel here, and today we're going to talk about how Bless Online is a huge, steamy, hot piece of shit.
I am Raziel.
Let me present you with a little scenario here. A restaurant opens in, let's say, Japan. And soon after, it gets shut down due to food poisoning. So it opens, like a year later in Korea. And again, gets shut down because of the shitty quality of food they provide. It then reopens again a year later in Russia. And big surprise, it closes down soon after because, nothing has changed. The owners of the restaurant really want to get their money back so they can keep their investors from suing the living piss out of them. So they start telling lies and doing everything they can to paint their restaurant in a different light. And starving people in another country want to hear these lies, so they can, eat. Well, the company wants to get in and get out fast with money before the unsuspecting hungry people realize that they're going to die from the worst food poisoning of their life. But if you knew this story, this little scenario I just said, and lived in that country that they were going to move their store to next, would you spend a dime on their food? Would you go try it? Would you even think about it? I mean, I wouldn't, regardless of how hungry I was. And I think it's safe to say that most people wouldn't even think about it. But the MMO gamer is a desperate breed. Probably the group of gamers with the abused spouse syndrome more than any other breed of gamer in any other genre of game. And I think I know where I'm going with this. So, here we are again. Another day, another dollar, and another dead-on-arrival cash grab MMO blown out of the anus of the half-ass failure of a company and right into the faces of the desperate MMORPG gamers. And MMO gamers do what they can to eat that shit up and try to convince themselves that this is the next best thing and that it will get better. But deep down, we all knew it would be a complete shit log before we could even play the game. If you're looking for the next MMO that revolutionizes the industry, this isn't it. If you're looking for an MMO that is decent and that will hold your attention until the next best thing comes out, this definitely isn't it. You know the MMORPG genre is in a bad state when the vast majority of the titles on Twitch on a game's launch day are things like I'm using air quotes here, expectations low, or please be good, or please don't suck, etc., etc., etc. But man, Bless Online fucking sucks. And it fucking sucks hard. So, what sucks so hard about Bless Online? Where do I fucking begin? Let's start right into the story. It has one, but you're never provided any real context or there's no real premise for anything in the game. It's just, oh, this guy's an important character. Talk to him and he'll tell you some fucking boring story about what he did a long time ago, and then you meet his friend and you just travel around and just go back and forth, and you don't care about any of it. Now, to preface, I got Bless Online for free with a code that I got out of a MMORPG drawing. I won't go much into any more detail about that. I've already uninstalled the game. It's complete trash, but this is from first-hand experience. The story is fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. It's almost non-existent. I mean, you don't give a shit about the character. You don't give a shit about your own character. You don't give a shit about any of the protagonists or antagonists. They just throw out names of bad guys with no context, so you're like, I don't fucking care or know anything about this, so why should I give a shit? Okay, point 2. The translation is awful. This game has been out, I mean, its first release I think was like in between 3 and 4 years ago, and they still have these translation issues where you don't gain a level. You know, it doesn't, when you level up, it doesn't say you have now reached level 5. It says you are now 5 level. Fucking really? Did anyone proofread this shit? Nobody proofread anything here. It's even the descriptions of abilities are completely fucked. They make no sense. It's, God, the translation is bad. And on top of that, the voiceover work on the voice acted sections is so robotic and so poor. It reminds me of voice acting from games in like the early 2000s. It's fucking awful. Like, they got the fucking janitor in the hallway to come in because they wouldn't have to pay him and do the voiceovers. It's that bad. Now, this is one, the next thing I'm going to mention is the big one. And the biggest thing you're going to hear right now is the optimization for this game is fucking atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. People with Ryzen 2700s and 1080 Ti's and Intel 8700Ks are hitting 15, 20, 25 frames per second in crowded areas. The optimization is terrible. It's so bad that someone on Reddit had to take a Reddit post from the Russian forums to tell you how to alter the .ini file to actually make the game utilize your hardware. And even then, you're lucky to get anywhere near 60 frames a second, even solo, like in an uncrowded area. The optimization is completely atrocious. And it's because the developer just doesn't give a shit. These problems, these optimization problems, have been around since Bless's first failed release. And they're still there. And in fact, in a lot of cases, from what people are saying, is it's worse in the US version. It's absolutely fucking terrible. They're using the Unreal 3 engine, okay? The Unreal 3 engine came out in 2004. It's an old-ass engine, and this won't be the first MMO ever, and probably definitely won't be the last, to contribute part of its failure to the fact that it's using an old, outdated piece of shit engine. Okay? It's using an absolutely awful engine. I mean, Star Wars: The Old Republic is a good example. It used the Hero engine, which was old and outdated, and was the primary cause for a lot of its buggy ass fucking problems, and part of the reason the game fell apart and died. Then you look at, I knew I was in for fucking trouble when I launched the game and I saw that it was DirectX 9. A DirectX 9 game. DirectX 9 came out in 2002 on Windows 98 and Windows XP, and it was since upgraded to no longer support 98, but still Windows XP, Windows 2000 server, was what DirectX 9 was optimized for. DirectX 9 is old as fuck. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV and its latest expansion uses DirectX 11. And now a lot of games are being utilized to use DirectX 12 and DirectX 12.1. The fact that in 2018 an MMO can release with a DirectX 9 as its main support blows my fucking mind away. That wasn't a clear giveaway that this game was going to be complete fucking shit. Okay, next point. The game is the most on-rails, hand-holding, baby-back bitch of an MMORPG that I have ever touched. I mean, you can literally get a quest, click a button, and your guy will auto-run there. You can walk away from your computer. You don't even have to look at the fucking map. Look at the MMOs of the past. Assurance's Call, EverQuest. It went from that to where you have to actually talk to NPCs, read quest text, explore, look around to figure out where the fuck to go, to, even in Vanilla WoW, that's how it was, to, becoming more accessible in World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV and 11 and other games, that the map would show you where you need to go, or where in the general area the quest is that you need to be where you can finish the quest, but not the exact location, to this, to where you're fucking you don't even have to play the game. The game plays for you. That is absolutely fucking dumb. Okay, the dungeons. I played the game long enough to get through the first dungeon, and what a joke. The mechanics in this game are so boring and easy. There's no challenge whatsoever to almost anything that I played in this game. It's just so ridiculously dumbed down and easy, you don't even have to worry about it. The second, not second, obviously, we're way beyond 2 at this point. But the next thing, the company straight up lied about the combat. One of the biggest complaints about every other failure of a launch for Bless Online was the combat system, and how fucking terrible it is, and boring it is. And the developers were going apeshit about how they completely revamped the combat system to be a mixture of tab targeting on top of action combat, and they didn't do it. There's out of the 5 classes that are in the game at launch, there is only one that has that kind of hybrid, and it's not done very well. And the combo system in this game is atrocious. It's delayed as fuck, and it's no different than like. It took some of the combos in an example of like Final Fantasy XIV, where certain abilities chain to other abilities. But instead of just letting you have all those abilities, you have to hit other keys, other hotkeys. Instead of just seeing the abilities and using them when they activate, it's just wolves in sheep's clothing. It's a smoke screen. It makes it look more complicated than it is in Bless Online, and it's completely fucking trash. And you know what? I'm not even going to get into all the horse shit surrounding this game around its, pay-to-win controversy and everything else. I didn't really get into the crafting, but the crafting looks just as generic and boring as an MMO released in 2004, 2005. And, right now I'm going to stop you. Right now. And please, before you start, over-exercising your jerk-off hand in my comment section about, it's early access, give it time. Bullshit. Just stop for a second if you're thinking that. If you're thinking that even for a second. Fucking listen to yourself. This game is old. It failed 3 other fucking times. If it's early access, why is the company charging between $39.99 USD and $149.99 USD for the same game as if it was a completed product? Why do players have to pay to test their fucking game? Why can't they just hire a test team, or at the very least have a closed and then an open free beta that you can get into if they really gave a shit? I'll tell you why. Because their intention for this game was never to make a solid, revolutionary MMO that would be around for years. It was to cash grab and get as much money as they could to try and dig themselves out of a financial hole. The hole they dug themselves when they released the shitty product in the first place 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. Again, listen to yourself. MMO gamers have become so desperate that they lie in bed every fucking night convincing themselves that they like the MMO that they're playing. Bless Online is fucking garbage, and it will always be garbage until it fails and shuts down here in another month or 2, maybe 3. The bottom line here, guys, is I know the MMORPG genre is rough right now, but have some fucking willpower and self-respect. Don't buy into these cash grab early access MMOs anymore. Nothing these companies do is revolutionizing or changing anything about the genre. As for me, this is my opinion. Final Fantasy XIV is still the best MMO in the market right now. Other people will argue that Elder Scrolls Online is. Other people will argue WoW still is, even though that argument is kind of, especially with Battle for Azeroth, has kind of gone to hell. But I wasn't surprised at all that I was browsing through Bless Online's streams yesterday, and the most common thing I saw in people's chat rooms and their Twitch chat were compliments about Final Fantasy XIV and how it's such a good game compared to this shit, and how Elder Scrolls Online is what's making them still play an MMO, things like that. if Final Fantasy XIV, Elder Scrolls Online, or WoW aren't for you, if you've tried all 3 of those games and you're just not interested, then I recommend you take a step back from the genre for a long while, because nothing is coming soon that's going to capture you. There's nothing on the horizon that is completely like, wow, this could change the genre or revitalize the genre. There's really nothing coming out anytime soon. There are arguments to be made about Ashes of Creation and other things, but there are also some red flags with those games. And for the love of Christ, don't buy Bless Online. Don't be a tool. Because that's what the developers of Bless want you to be. A means to an end. A way to get themselves out of a financial debt before they cut ties with their failure completely. Because that's what this game is. A fucking failure. It's not a fun game. It's not a revolutionary game. It doesn't do anything new. And in fact, it does a lot of things that are standard in MMOs very, very poorly. I mean, Bless Online is a pile of fucking putrid shit. And it's nothing short of a true Destiny 2 level cash grab built on false advertising and bullshit online hype. If something seems really hyped and too good to be true, it is. I know MMO gamers are desperate right now, but the less we dish out money and try to convince ourselves that shit-ass games are good games, the sooner the genre will be forced to be revolutionized somewhere along the line in the future. It may be far away, but as for me right now, Final Fantasy XIV is still keeping me immersed in their game. It's still keeping me interested in their content. The content's challenging. The community is fantastic, and that's another thing I want to bring up right out of the gate. The community I saw in just the general chat I tried on 3 different Bless Online servers. The community chat was worse. 200 times worse than anything I ever saw in Baron's chat or Goldshire chat in World of Warcraft or anything obviously I've ever seen in Final Fantasy. It's worse than a chat room that I'd imagine would be in a Call of Duty game if they had it. It was that fucking bad. So guys, do yourself a favor. Stay as far the fuck away as you can from Bless Online. Let it die. Let it go away. Let these companies know that this isn't going to be tolerated. If you were unfortunate enough, to buy the game, get a refund. Fuck this game. Fuck Bless Online. It can eat my hairy ass. And again, guys, a lot of this, I say it's my opinion, but this is a lot of the shit I've said here is kind of fact. This is complete garbage, and it's unacceptable in the genre and in gaming in general. But anyway, guys, this has been Raziel. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter, as you see right now up on screen. If you like the video and this is your first time around here, subscribe, hit the alert button so you know when my content goes live. If you didn't like it, go ahead and downvote. Type your mean comments. I don't care. You can go fuck yourself. And as always, keep it real.